All right, the easiest glaze in town, chef. Are you a food and fitness lover? Well, you've landed in the right spot. I'm Chef Tina Martini, but you might know me as the medicine chef. Welcome to the Ageless Kitchen. Well, we're cooking the book and we're doing something that everybody's gonna love, even the non-fish eaters. We're doing a peach glazed salmon today, and I've got some great grilling hacks to go along with it. So if you'd like to turn to page 44, we're gonna do a beautiful and refreshing peach glazed salmon. All right, the easiest glaze in town, chef. So what I'm gonna do first is I've minced some shallot, and you could use purple onion or whatever you have. A sweet onion would work as well. I've got my pan heating with a little bit of the grapeseed oil, and I'm just gonna put the cut shallot in, and we're gonna do a technique called melting. So I'm actually gonna take the pan off the heat for a minute and just stir the shallots around and just let them melt in the oil and in the heat. Now remember, we don't want to put any color on here because it's going to cause some bitterness. So I'm really just tossing the shallots around in the hot oil and just letting them break down. It's going to release that sweetness. Now remember, allium compounds are one of the best disease fighters we know of. I'm going to park this in the back for just a minute and let those shallots continue to release their natural sugars, and then we're going to go ahead and add the other ingredients to our glaze. Now, I've got some orange marmalade and I've got some peach preserves here. Any brand will do, whatever you like. I tend to like the ones that have more of the whole fruit, so you really know what you're eating. And I think that's a good piece of advice, chefs, is that we want to always let the diner in on what they're about to experience. And we go ahead and put it back on the low fire, and I'm going to melt the jam and the marmalade that we just put in. So let's go ahead and clear off our shallots. We want every bit of those in for their beautiful sweetness. And of course, they're loaded with delicious medicine. I'm just slowly melting the jam and the marmalade with a little bit, and I mean, I literally used a half a teaspoon of grapeseed oil, whatever oil you prefer. And that's it. It's that easy, chefs. Now, we're gonna add one more ingredient just to give a little kick to that sweetness, and that's just some good old-fashioned red wine vinegar. So I'm just gonna put in, again, maybe about a teaspoon of that. You've got the recipe in front of you. I know you've got your book open. So I'm just gonna stir that in. How long did that take us? Your glaze is done. Let's go ahead and get our fish on the fire. So I'm gonna crank the heat up now. Again, I've got a little bit of the high heat grapeseed oil in, and we're gonna go ahead and sear our fish. Now, one of the most important things for me, chefs, is that we're using wild caught salmon. Farm-raised salmon pollutes the environment, they eat things they shouldn't be eating, and dye is added. Here's another thing. Wild-caught salmon is 27% omega-3 fatty acids, while farm-raised is only 17%. So that should tell us all we need to know about farm-raising fish. Stop it. All right, I'm gonna dry my fish because all meat is supposed to be dried. And you know who was the queen of drying her meat? Chef Julia Child. She was really strict about it. So we want to really pat the whole fillet and get all of the moisture up. And I'm just going to go all around the fish, get any of the moisture up off of the plate. Woo! We're cooking for real. Let's go ahead and get that moisture off of that fillet. Now, I don't happen to have skin on this, but skin is really where a lot of the magic is. Between the salmon skin and the flesh is a little thin layer of gray fat. In that gray fat is called, you ready for this? DMAE. And if we could just live and really concentrate that into our diet every day, we would never age. We would live to be 200 years old. I'm not sure I want to stick around that long though. All right, so I've got my fish down in my hot oil. My glaze is resting. Let's talk about a really easy way to grill fish. As lots of people tell me they don't like to do their fish on the grill because it flakes, it falls apart, and it falls through the grate. So if you don't have one of those fancy little fish pans for your grill, here's a really easy and flavorful way to keep the fish from falling through. So I got some navel oranges. Navel oranges, really high in potassium, great kidney medicine, vitamin C, bioflavonoids, turn back the aging clock. So I've sliced them, and you can see it's kind of a medium slice here. We're gonna lay that right down on the hot grill outside, and then we're gonna lay our fish right on top of the oranges. Yep, you heard me. We're just making a nice, fresh navel orange bed for our fish to lay on and cook. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these down on the hot grill, put the unglazed fish down on top of the orange slice bed, shut my lid on my grill and let the fish cook and let the oranges burn with the fire underneath. And it's going to impart the most incredible flavor, aroma. Your neighbors are going to want to know what's going on. So get ready to tell your chef secrets. That's right, you can claim it as your own. All right, so let's go ahead and get some seasoning on the fish. Just a little bit of pepper here, a little bit of our favorite pink salt. We're going to do both sides because I eat both sides, right? So I'm going to season both sides. Let's see how we're doing here. Looking good. Let's let it go just another minute. I'm going to turn the fire up. Now remember, if food is sticking to your stainless steel pan, it's because the heat isn't high enough. And I know that seems counterintuitive, but what the high heat does in a stainless pan is it connects with the protein. The proteins release their natural sugars. It caramelizes and makes that really beautiful crust that we all love. And that will release the meat or the protein from the pan naturally without any effort on your part. So there's your chef tip for the day. You've got your grill hack for the day. You know how to make the easiest glaze in town. You're hooked up, chefs. Call the gang. It's time for a party. All right, let's check on the fish and see if it's time to turn. It looks like it's coming up pretty easy. You may have to work with it a little bit, but I'm just sliding my spatula along the fish and then put it right down. We don't want to overcook the fish, so this actually looks really good. I just gather all that up and let it finish. Now for me, chefs, I don't like my fish cooked all the way through. I leave it a little bit rare in the middle, but some people don't like their salmon like that. So just ask your diner how they like their salmon prepared. But remember, when fish flakes and the whole fillet is coming apart, it's actually overcooked. So we don't want to do that. All right, this looks good. I'm going to go ahead and kill the fire because we know about carryover cooking, and the residual heat in the pan will take us the rest of the way. All right, let's look at our glaze. Let's see where we're at. Fish feels firm, so we can go ahead and pull it now. And we want the prettiest side of the fish, don't we? So let's use a nice white plate. Woo, that looks pretty. All right, and let's see what side is prettier on this fillet. There we are. Turn that like so, and we'll wipe the plate off, and then we'll get ready to glaze. All right, so here's our finished glaze, and we're again using the orange marmalade and the peach preserves, but what if we were going to glaze some tempeh for a nice salad? How about some raspberry jam? A little bit of raspberry vinegar to finish it. We've got our melted shallots, and it would glaze beautifully over the pan-seared tempeh. You slice that up and fan it over the top of a salad. Anybody's gonna love that. Do you like lamb or pork? Do a black cherry jam and finish it with balsamic vinegar. All you have to do, remember, is melt the shallots slowly over low heat and really just let them release their natural sugars and get sweeter and more delicious. Add in whatever jam or jelly or marmalade you prefer. whatever would go best with your meat, and then hit it off the fire with the vinegar and glaze the meat and take it to the plate. And then we'll put a little bit of greenery alongside. When it's peach season, you can cut a peach in half and just put it directly on the hot grill, and that gives you your beautiful hatch marks. Put that alongside, and it's a summer meal everybody will line up for. Well, that's it for us today in the Ageless Kitchen. I'm Chef Tina Martini. Thank you so much for cooking with me. Here's to your radiant health. The two of you. Oh, it's tangy and sweet, and that is one of the most requested recipes.